The story of India begins a very long time ago. One of the world's oldest civilizations grew here. It is called the Indus Valley Civilization. This civilization flourished around 2500 BCE to 1900 BCE. It was located in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. This area is now part of Pakistan and northwest India. The main rivers, Indus and Ghaggar-Hakra, supported this ancient society. Archaeologists discovered its first cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, in the 1920s. This discovery changed our understanding of early human history in this region, showing advanced urban life. The cities of the Indus Valley Civilization were very well planned. Mohenjo-daro and Harappa showed remarkable urban design. They had streets laid out in a grid pattern. Houses were made of baked bricks, all of a standard size. Many homes had their own wells and bathrooms. An impressive feature was their advanced drainage system. Covered drains ran along the streets, carrying wastewater away. Large structures like the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro suggest public or ritual bathing. Granaries were also found, indicating organized storage of food grains, which was vital for the city's population and trade. Life in the Indus Valley Civilization seems to have been quite organized. Though we cannot read their script, artifacts tell us about their society. They were skilled craftspeople. They made pottery, jewelry from beads and precious stones, and tools from copper and bronze. Seals with animal carvings and a mysterious script were common. These seals might have been used for trade or as identity markers. They traded goods with far-off lands like Mesopotamia. This trade network shows they were connected to other parts of the ancient world, exchanging not just goods, but possibly ideas too. The end of the Indus Valley Civilization is still a subject of debate among historians. Around 1900 BCE, these great cities started to decline. Several theories try to explain this. Climate change leading to drier conditions could have affected agriculture. Changes in river courses might have disrupted their water supply. Some scholars suggest internal societal issues or even invasions by new groups of people. Whatever the exact reasons, the urban phase ended. However, many elements of this early civilization likely continued in later cultures of the Indian subcontinent, leaving a lasting legacy. After the decline of the Indus Valley Civilization, a new period began in Indian history. This is known as the Vedic Age. It is named after the Vedas, which are ancient sacred texts. This period lasted roughly from 1500 BCE to 500 BCE. It is believed that Indo-Aryan-speaking people migrated into the Indian subcontinent during this time. They brought with them new customs, beliefs, and a pastoral lifestyle. Early Vedic society was primarily rural and tribal. They were skilled in warfare and used chariots. Their early settlements were mainly in the Punjab region, along the Indus and its tributaries. The Vedas are the most important source of information about this period. There are 4 Vedas: the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda. The Rig Veda is the oldest and contains hymns praising various gods and goddesses. These hymns provide insights into their religious beliefs, rituals, and way of life. Nature deities like Indra, god of thunder and war, Agni, god of fire, and Soma, a sacred plant, were central to their worship. Elaborate sacrifices, called yajnas, were performed by priests to appease these gods. These rituals were complex and formed a core part of their religious practice. Vedic society gradually underwent significant changes. In the later Vedic period, people moved eastwards into the Gangetic plains. Agriculture became more important than pastoralism. Iron tools were used, which helped in clearing forests and improving farming. This led to more settled communities and the growth of larger territorial units called Janapadas. The social structure also became more complex. The Varna system, a 4-fold classification of society, began to take shape. This system divided people into Brahmins, priests, Kshatriyas, warriors, Vaishyas, merchants and farmers, and Shudras, laborers. This system would have a lasting impact on Indian society. The Vedic period laid the foundation for many aspects of Indian culture and philosophy. Concepts like dharma, duty, karma, action, and consequence and reincarnation started to develop. Epics like the Mahabharata and Ramayana, though compiled later, have roots in this era's traditions and stories. These texts explore complex human relationships, moral dilemmas, and philosophical ideas. The language of the Vedas, Sanskrit, became the classical language of India. It influenced many other languages and continues to be studied for its rich literary and religious heritage, shaping intellectual life for centuries. Following the Vedic age, India saw the rise of large territorial states and eventually powerful empires. Around the 6th century BCE, many small kingdoms and republics known as Mahajanapadas dotted North India. Among these, Magadha emerged as the most powerful. This set the stage for the first major empire, the Mauryan Empire. Founded by Chandragupta Maurya around 322 BCE, it was a vast empire. Chandragupta, with the help of his clever advisor Kautilya, overthrew the Nanda dynasty. Kautilya's famous treatise, the Arthashastra, provides detailed insights into statecraft, administration and economic policy of that time. The Mauryan Empire reached its peak under Emperor Ashoka, Chandragupta's grandson. Ashoka ruled from about 268 BCE to 232 BCE. Initially, he expanded the empire through warfare, most notably the Kalinga War. The immense bloodshed and suffering in this war deeply affected him. After Kalinga, Ashoka embraced Buddhism and its principles of non-violence, ahimsa and peace. He promoted Dharma not as a religious doctrine but as a moral code for his subjects. He inscribed his edicts on pillars and rocks throughout the empire, spreading messages of tolerance, welfare and justice for all people and even animals. After the Mauryan Empire declined, India experienced a period of political fragmentation. Several regional kingdoms rose to prominence. Then another significant empire emerged, the Gupta Empire. It was founded by Sri Gupta around the 3rd century CE, but it flourished under rulers like Chandragupta I, Samudragupta, and Chandragupta II, from the 4th to 6th centuries CE. This period is often referred to as the Golden Age of India. The Gupta rulers were patrons of art, literature, science, and culture. They established a strong central administration, but allowed considerable regional autonomy which contributed to peace and prosperity. The Gupta Empire, though not as vast as the Mauryan, left a profound impact on Indian civilization. They promoted Hinduism, and many important Puranas were compiled during this time. Sanskrit literature reached new heights. The empire maintained a well-organized army and an efficient administrative system. Trade, both internal and external, flourished, bringing wealth to the region. However, by the late 5th century CE, invasions by the Hunas, Hephthalites from Central Asia, began to weaken the empire. Eventually, the Gupta Empire disintegrated into smaller kingdoms, marking the end of this classical era of unity and brilliance. The periods of the Mauryan and especially the Gupta empires were times of great intellectual and cultural activity. These eras witnessed remarkable advancements in various fields. Science, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and literature saw significant progress. Scholars and institutions received patronage from the rulers, fostering an environment of learning and innovation. This intellectual ferment contributed to the reputation of these periods as golden ages. The knowledge generated during these times had a lasting influence not only within India but also in other parts of the world, spreading through trade and cultural exchange. In mathematics, ancient India made groundbreaking contributions. The concept of zero, shunya, as a number, along with the decimal system, was developed here. These innovations revolutionized mathematics globally. Aryabhata, a renowned mathematician and astronomer of the Gupta period, wrote the Aryabhatiya. This text discussed topics like arithmetic, algebra, trigonometry, and the calculation of pi. He also proposed that the Earth rotates on its axis and revolves around the Sun, and he provided explanations for solar and lunar eclipses. Varahamihira was another important scholar who contributed to astronomy, mathematics, and astrology. Medicine also flourished, with Ayurveda being the traditional Indian system of medicine. Charaka and Sushruta were two key figures whose works, the Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, became foundational texts. The Charaka Samhita deals with internal medicine, diagnosis, and treatment of diseases. The Sushruta Samhita is notable for its detailed descriptions of surgical procedures, including plastic surgery, cataract surgery, and the use of surgical instruments. These texts emphasized holistic well-being, including diet, hygiene, and lifestyle. Hospitals were established and medicinal herbs were extensively studied and used. Art, architecture and literature reached exceptional levels during these times. The Gupta period in particular is celebrated for its classical Sanskrit literature. Kalidasa, one of India's greatest poets and playwrights, created masterpieces like Shakuntala and Meghaduta. Magnificent temples with intricate carvings were built. The Ajanta and Ellora caves, with their stunning paintings and sculptures, showcase the artistic brilliance of this era. These artworks often depicted religious themes from Buddhism, Hinduism and Jainism, reflecting the religious tolerance and diversity of the period. These cultural achievements defined a classical standard for centuries. Section 5. New influences, the arrival of Islam. After the decline of the Gupta Empire, India saw the rise of various regional kingdoms. The political landscape remained fragmented for several centuries. During this time, a new force began to make its presence felt in the Indian subcontinent, Islam. Arab traders had contacts with the Indian coast long before the advent of Islam. However, the first significant military expeditions by Muslim rulers began in the early 8th century CE. Muhammad bin Qasim's conquest of Sind in 712 CE marked the initial entry of Islamic political power into a part of India. This was the beginning of a long and complex interaction. Over the following centuries, waves of invasions from Central Asia brought Islamic rule to larger parts of North India. Turkic invaders like Mahmud of Ghazni in the early 11th century launched numerous raids, primarily targeting temple towns for their wealth. Later, Muhammad Ghori established a more permanent presence, leading to the foundation of the Delhi Sultanate in 1206 CE. The Delhi Sultanate, comprising several successive dynasties, ruled over significant parts of North India for over 300 years. This period saw the establishment of new administrative systems and the introduction of Persian culture and language into the Indian court. The arrival and establishment of Islamic rule had a profound impact on Indian society and culture. It led to the introduction of new religious beliefs, architectural styles, and social customs. While there were instances of conflict and destruction, there was also a gradual process of cultural synthesis. Sufi and Bhakti movements, which emphasized devotion and challenged religious orthodoxy, gained popularity during this period. These movements often acted as bridges between Hindu and Muslim communities, fostering mutual understanding and shared cultural practices. Many Hindus converted to Islam for various reasons, including social mobility or genuine conviction. The interaction between Islamic and indigenous Indian traditions led to the development of a rich composite culture. This was visible in art, architecture, music, and literature. Indo-Islamic architecture, for example, blended Indian motifs with Persian and Turkic styles, creating magnificent structures like mosques, tombs, and forts. New languages such as Urdu emerged from the interaction of Persian, Arabic, Turkic, and local Indian dialects. The period was not just about political change, it was also a time of significant cultural exchange and transformation, shaping the diverse fabric of Indian civilization in ways that are still evident today. Section 6. The Mughal era, grandeur and complexity. The decline of the Delhi Sultanate paved the way for another major Islamic empire in India, the Mughal Empire. Babur, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan, founded the Mughal Empire in 1526. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi, the last Sultan of Delhi, at the First Battle of Panipat. Babur's victory marked the beginning of a dynasty that would rule over most of the Indian subcontinent for over 2 centuries. The early Mughal rulers, including Babur and his son Humayun, faced many challenges in consolidating their power. However, they laid the groundwork for one of India's most brilliant and powerful empires. The Mughal Empire reached its zenith under emperors like Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. Akbar, who ruled from 1556 to 1605, is particularly renowned for his policy of religious tolerance, known as Sulh-i-Kul, or peace with all. He attempted to integrate the diverse population of his empire by abolishing the jizya tax on non-Muslims and encouraging debates among scholars of different faiths. He also introduced administrative reforms like the Mansabdari system, which helped in efficient governance. The Mughal court became a vibrant center of art, culture and learning, attracting talent from various parts of the world. Mughal contributions to art and architecture are legendary. They blended Persian, Indian and Central Asian styles to create breathtaking monuments. The Taj Mahal in Agra, built by Shah Jahan as a mausoleum for his wife Mumtaz Mahal, is a world-renowned masterpiece. Other examples include the Red Fort in Delhi, Fatehpur Sikri, and numerous beautiful gardens and tombs. Mughal painting, with its intricate details and vibrant colors, also flourished during this period. Literature, particularly in Persian and later in Urdu, saw significant development. The empire fostered a sophisticated urban culture and promoted trade and commerce, leading to economic prosperity. Despite its grandeur, the Mughal Empire also faced internal challenges and contradictions. Aurangzeb's reign from 1658 to 1707 saw a shift away from Akbar's policy of religious tolerance. He reimposed the jizya tax and pursued policies that alienated some sections of the population, particularly the Marathas, Sikhs and Rajputs. These policies, combined with constant warfare and agrarian distress, weakened the empire. After Aurangzeb's death, the Mughal Empire began to decline rapidly. Regional powers asserted their independence and the empire gradually fragmented, making it vulnerable to new external forces, particularly the European trading companies. Section 7. Under colonial rule, the British Raj. As the Mughal Empire weakened in the 18th century, European trading companies began to increase their influence in India. The British East India Company, initially focused on trade, gradually became involved in Indian politics. Through a series of wars and alliances with local rulers, the company expanded its territorial control. Key events like the Battle of Plassey in 1757 and the Battle of Buxar in 1764 were turning points. These victories allowed the company to gain significant political and economic power, especially in Bengal. This marked the beginning of British colonial dominance over the Indian subcontinent. The rule of the British East India Company and later the British Crown after the Indian Mutiny of 1857 had profound and far-reaching effects on India. Economically, British policies transformed India into a supplier of raw materials for British industries and a market for British manufactured goods. Traditional Indian industries like textiles suffered due to competition from cheaper British products. The introduction of new land revenue systems led to widespread agrarian distress and peasant indebtedness. While the British built railways, telegraph lines and a modern administrative system, these were primarily designed to serve colonial interests and facilitate exploitation. Socially and culturally, British rule brought significant changes. The British introduced Western education, initially to create a class of Indians to assist in administration. This also exposed Indians to Western ideas of liberty, democracy and nationalism. However, the British also often maintained a policy of racial discrimination and superiority. They interfered with some social customs like sati or widow burning and female infanticide through legislation. The impact of these reforms was complex, sometimes leading to social reform movements within Indian society, while at other times causing resentment and resistance against foreign interference in traditional ways of life. The Indian Mutiny of 1857, also known as the First War of Indian Independence, was a major uprising against British rule. Though it was suppressed, it led to the end of the East India Company's rule. The British Crown took direct control of India in 1858, establishing the British Raj. The administration became more centralized and systematic. The British aimed to strengthen their grip on India, but the seeds of nationalism had been sown. The experience of colonial rule, with its economic exploitation and political subjugation, fueled a growing desire among Indians for self-rule and independence, setting the stage for a long struggle. Section 8. The Fight for Freedom, Gandhi and Independence. The late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed the rise of Indian nationalism. The Indian National Congress was formed in 1885, initially as a platform for educated Indians to voice their grievances and seek greater participation in governance. Over time, it evolved into the main organization leading the struggle for independence. Early nationalist leaders, known as moderates, believed in constitutional methods and appeals to British justice. However, a younger generation of leaders, called extremists, advocated for more assertive methods to achieve Swaraj, or self-rule. The partition of Bengal in 1905 further galvanized the nationalist movement across the country. The arrival of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi on the Indian political scene in 1915 transformed the freedom struggle. Gandhi, later known as Mahatma Gandhi, introduced the philosophy of satyagraha, truth force, or passive resistance. He advocated non-violent non-cooperation as a powerful tool to challenge British rule. He mobilized millions of ordinary Indians, including peasants, workers, and women, making the independence movement a mass movement. Major campaigns led by Gandhi, such as the non-cooperation movement from 1920 to 22, the civil disobedience movement, including the Dandi Salt March in 1930, and the Quit India movement in 1942, put immense pressure on the British government. Many other leaders and movements contributed significantly to the freedom struggle. Figures like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Subhas Chandra Bose, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and Sarojini Naidu played crucial roles. Revolutionary groups also engaged in armed resistance against British rule. The growing demand for independence was further fueled by the impact of the two world wars, which weakened the British Empire. The British government began to realize that holding on to India was becoming increasingly difficult. Negotiations for the transfer of power started, but they were complicated by internal divisions. The path to independence was unfortunately marred by communal tensions, particularly between Hindus and Muslims. The Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, demanded a separate nation for Muslims called Pakistan. Despite Gandhi's strong opposition to the division of India, the British government eventually decided to partition the country. On August 15, 1947, India gained independence, but it was accompanied by the painful partition, which led to widespread violence and displacement of millions of people. While freedom was achieved, the joy was tinged with the sorrow of division and the immense human suffering that ensued. Section 9, A Nation Reborn, the Republic of India. India achieved independence on August 15, 1947, marking the end of nearly 2 centuries of British colonial rule. Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of independent India. The immediate aftermath of independence was challenging. The country had to deal with the trauma of partition, rehabilitate millions of refugees, and integrate over 500 princely states into the Indian Union. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel played a crucial role in this integration process, ensuring the territorial unity of the new nation. The task of nation-building was immense, requiring vision, determination, and the participation of all its citizens. One of the foremost tasks for the newly independent nation was to frame a constitution. A constituent assembly comprising representatives from various sections of Indian society was formed for this purpose. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, as the chairman of the drafting committee, played a pivotal role in shaping the Constitution of India. After nearly 3 years of deliberations, the Constitution was adopted on November 26, 1949, and it came into effect on January 26, 1950. On this day, India became a sovereign, democratic republic. The Constitution guaranteed fundamental rights to all citizens, established a parliamentary democracy, and laid down the principles of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. The early years of the Republic focused on socio-economic development. India adopted a model of planned economic development, with 5-year plans guiding investment in agriculture, industry, education, and healthcare. Land reforms were initiated, and efforts were made to build a modern industrial base. The country pursued a foreign policy of non-alignment, choosing to remain independent of the major power blocs during the Cold War. Challenges such as poverty, illiteracy, and social inequality persisted, but the foundations for a modern democratic nation were firmly laid. The commitment to democratic principles remained a cornerstone of the Indian state. Since becoming a republic, India has made significant strides. The journey of the Republic of India is an ongoing one, reflecting the complexities and dynamism of a diverse and ancient civilization, striving to build a prosperous and equitable future for all its people. carrying forward a rich historical legacy.